Good morning, everyone. Welcome to office hours. Just kind of to go over a procedure for anyone that is new. Just to let you know, if you have questions, basically just raise your hand and let us know. And I will call on you in the order in which I see hands raised. I did want to let everyone know that Yvonne did a training last week for attendees of Academy. And we actually recorded that. And so once I get that recording, I will, it was basically, there was a session on basics, really, truly the basics. A session more advanced, and then we did a tips and tricks session. So it was 3 hours, so it's long, but we do have a recording of that for anyone who might be interested in watching that, and I will send that out to you all as well as post that to our YouTube channel that we have. So no time like the present in terms of getting started. So if anyone has a question, please raise your hand and let me know so I can call on you. I don't see, I don't see any hands raised. Gosh, I guess we're still letting people jump in. We still have people joining us. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. If you have a question, please let me know by raising your hand and we can call on you. I don't see any. Oh, I do see a hand. Thank you, Gretchen, for getting us started.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I have a question regarding the new job board, posting jobs on the website. Since they did the upgrade, it's just like a big glob of information. It's just like there's no separation like it used to be. Kind of broke out. It just like everything just runs together in a narrative. I didn't know if anybody else has a way of getting around all that.
Which group are you with?
I'm with Central Ohio.
Okay.
And you can go to our job board and you'll see that there's some jobs there uh, under about.
Okay.
So when you view one, the job description just kind of runs together. You can't separate any of the text. The closing date, I used to be able to separate that and leave that at the bottom, but so what I've tried to separate it by putting a dash in there. And I've tried using multiple dashes to even get more spacing, but it won't allow it.
Okay. So, see, this doesn't look like there's HTML enabled. I'm not logged in. Let me get logged in here real quick. See. See what happens if I were to add. Did it? Okay. So, your job board, I am not too familiar with, so I'm going to ask. In the past, did you have HTML? Right here, I can see that this doesn't allow HTML. It's just a blank.
Yeah, I don't know if it did. It just, I mean, you would just type text there, or I would usually copy and paste text right there, and you could do spacing and paragraph spacings. I don't know if it said HTML there or not.
So it looks like they must have turned that, they must have done an upgrade and gotten rid of that, but I don't know for sure. Somebody else who's been using, because I have not used your job board, somebody else in this meeting who's been using the job board, are you also noticing that there's a difference? If
This is
anybody else could.
this is the standard job board, Yvonne. There's nothing specific to NIGP in this job board. This is so it
It's
should.
a, It's
Yeah.
a module that is paid for, and I don't have anyone else using the job board.
I see. I see. Okay.
I would have to ask Club Express if they made changes to it to disable. I thought for sure maybe under configure there might have been some options in here to turn something on, but there is nothing in here to make it dynamic. It's only just plain text. And in the plain text boxes, you cannot put any formatting in, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But so I I know that I know that in the past I used to be able to do a hard return and get some spacing in this type of a box, where it's just the text box, the up to 4,000, where it said that to when you add a new one up to 4,000 text. And
Yeah.
I also have not been able to do that in recent months.
Okay.
Be able to get like a separation between a paragraph.
All right. If anybody that does use these, if they have any creative ways of getting around it that I haven't thought of, I'd share the information. I'm just
We
using
can
the
certainly
space and
ask,
dash.
we can certainly ask Cove Express about it,
Mhm.
right? To just say, is this something that can be enabled or future
HTML and the job
upgrade
board.
or yeah.
Or if they have any recommendations or any tips and tricks to be able to get some paragraph spacing now that there has been some changes. I know that there is some, when you create a Word document or something, you can actually key in a bullet point. And I'm not sure if you could key in a bullet point, if that would paste into there, but I'll find out and I will get back to you, Gretchen. And you are with um,
Co-op.
Co-op.
Central COO.
I wonder, Yvonne, if you did put an HTML open bracket P and P, and whether that would create those paragraphs, but I have no idea. Yeah.
I just tested it. It doesn't work.
Oh, it doesn't work. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Kaylee. I will find out if there's anything that can be upgraded in the near future. It might be on their list of things to upgrade, and I will find out and get back to you, as well as if they have any tricks that they could recommend to be able to add some type of spacing within that plain text box.
I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Any other
Thank you.
questions, Gretchen?
I do, but I don't want
Yep.
to. I
No,
do have another
nobody.
one.
Yep.
All
Go
right.
Well,
ahead.
as long as we're here.
Yep. Has to do with our custom pages.
Okay.
When I'm trying to modify a custom page, and I was looking this morning for an example, and I think probably the best one to use is our About page. In my
Okay.
trouble with modifying, it's usually that first cell. Um,
This one
I'm
or this
sorry.
one?
Yes, that one. So where you see the little boxes that say professional certification, professional development, when I go to edit, like let's say I want to add chapter application or something. So I would want to add a box above chapter manual. When I go in to edit that, I have difficulty trying to get the square again. I'm not exactly sure what the square is.
Yeah, so and this is a little bit trickier. This was created in using div tags and some special coding. So you're going to have to do this one in the HTML. You can't do it here.
Okay, I
Um,
have gone in and done some copying and pasting from HTML.
yeah,
Trying.
so I do have a couple little tricks.
Okay, I can.
Let's say that you're trying to add something after manual. What I do sometimes, because you look in the code and you can't figure out what you're trying to grab, sometimes I just throw things in like a triple X, and then I go into the code and I, do a control F and I look for that triple X. And so now I know that what I'm trying to copy is this. And I might even go in here and put a triple Y here. So I'm going to look for, if I'm trying to copy this one and create a new one underneath chapter manual, and maybe I'll even do a Z. Oops. So now I'm looking for, triple Y, and I'm looking for the div to copy and paste afterwards. So let's see, we've got div class inner column style padding. This is the beginning of the div class rest row. The oops, sorry. So div class rest row, class column full. And I don't know if everybody can see this. Let me just go a little larger here. Okay, so here is professional certification. This is the link, the A. Okay. Another thing that I like to work with is I like to, so that I don't screw anything up, I will copy all of this and open up a notepad and paste it in there. And then I work in here a lot. So let's just say I want to add a new link after before chapter brochure. I'm going to get rid of those Z's. And so I'm going to do this here. I'm going to copy from one end, from one A to the end of the A. And then I'm going to paste it in there again. So I copied it and I went right back into the code where I copied it from and I pasted it. And now let's see what happens if I put that in here. And I go to the design. And there I copied another one. So now I might not have copied it in the space that you wanted it, but I can get rid of my Y's and my X's. And I want this one to be renamed. So I'm going to throw the Y's back in there and go into the code again and look for the Y's. And that's the one I'm going to rename to whatever that new name is. And then you can see this end A, that's the link. The end A after the word. So this is the new link that you would have to change. And I don't recommend doing it in the design. I recommend doing it in the HTML for this, because this is a special code. So what I would do is, now that I know this is what I want to change, I would save this, which I can save, but I'm not going to make active. And then I would exit out of here. And then I would get the link. I don't know, let's say you're linking it to a document. I would go into the document folder. And let's say we're just linking it to chapter resources. Let's just find something here. I want to link it to this document here. So I would just go into the actions, copy the document URL. And all I need, since it's inside our website, all I need is this link here. And I would copy that and go back to the about. And this is the version that I saved. And I'm going back into there. And instead of doing it here, I'm going to go into the HTML. Here is the new name right here. Again, the link that I want to change is the one that's just before it within the quotation marks. And now if I save it, sorry about that if you hear that ring. I'm going to open this in a new tab, which is actually it's a download, so it's actually a document. So that's what just downloaded. So that's how you do that. Did that make it a little bit easier?
Yes, it does. And I'm grateful that this is being recorded so I can come back and look at all the steps.
Complicated.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it
appreciate
is.
that.
This is definitely a lot more complicated. changing a link or changing text in a box like this is going to be a lot easier. So I'm going to save that version and exit. I did not make it active, but it is still here.
Okay.
Okay.
And for
Thank
those of
you.
you that, if this is really too complicated, you can just go into that page and create a new row and recreate it completely, and then you wouldn't have that customization in that column. So could you show that really quickly?
Mhm.
Just eliminating the boxes, basically.
Exactly. So you would just copy this row, or not even copy, just create a new row, drag a new row. Because if you copy it, it keeps it, doesn't it, Yvonne?
Right, you're right.
Yeah.
So what you could do, yeah, if you're saying,
Is add a
if
new
it's,
row and just recreate it, right?
are you going to do the new row? Are you saying, Ronnie, to do the new row exactly as this is with the 50,
No, you would
25, and
take
25?
out that piece. You could copy and paste the content from the other two and
Right.
just create a new row and create your navigation
If
or
if you're
really,
saying if you decide not to use this
yeah,
anymore. Yes.
exactly.
Yes. So yes, you could do this. You could pull over a 60/40 if you wanted, and then all you'd have to do is go into this one here, advanced editor, copy, come down here to this one and paste, and then do the same here, copy and paste. And then if you wanted to just go into this one and add those links as just regular links underneath, um, you could do, professional certification.
Or you could even do the 33, 33, 33 column row, and then that far left column, you could put links to those pages.
Correct.
So there's other options to bypass if you wanted to do that.
And while you're working on it until you get it the way you want, you can hide this row so nobody has to see it. And then when you're ready, you can delete this row and activate this one. For now, I'm just going to hide this row. You're more than welcome to delete the pages I created. And for those who don't know how to do that, if you have older versions that you don't want to keep any longer, you can just go to those versions. I'm going to just go ahead and do this version here, and I'm going to delete it. And then that version will drop to the very end, and it'll delete in, I think it's 30 days, roughly 30 days. So it's still there. You can still recover it if you need to, but it will delete automatically in 30 days.
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
for showing that. And it looks like I have a partner in our chapter that's a little more familiar with this.
Good.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Jamel, sorry, not sure how to pronounce your name. You have your hand up.
Good morning, Jamil.
Jamil.
Good morning. I was asking about an issue that I spoke with one of the reps earlier today. I have a Jacob Erickson. Well, first I'm from the Tampa Bay area. And the issue is Manatee County, Jacob Erickson. Their last day at Manatee County was February 6th of this year. Is there a way to get a refund issued for his membership? And
Mhm.
can you have him removed from the roster for when we renew next year?
So Jamil's emailed us about this last week, and this one's a little bit trickier. And so I asked him if we could go over this in office hours. I even had to ask Club Express how to do this one. Tampa is using Club Express's merchant account, and so it becomes a little trickier. So this could apply for people who are using their own external Stripe, but this is also for people who are using Club Express's merchant account. So what we need to do is we need to look at the primary. So the primary just paid for the renewal. And I'm going to go to the primary here. I can find the primary by clicking on actions and going to the primary member profile. And Samantha Worley, here's her transaction history. She just paid $630 to renew all these members. And she has contacted Tampa and asked to remove Jacob and get a refund for Jacob. So we have to work this process so that there is a credit sitting in Samantha's account for all of these transactions and then renew her again. And that'll leave a $35 difference that we can then renew. So we're going to go through this process together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel her renewal. Now, this should leave $630 within her profile. Let's hope that it does. I could not test this. This is the steps that Club Express gave me for this. I could not test it until we were in this meeting. So let's see. I'm going to go to the money and the open credits. And there you go. She has $630 sitting within her account. So our first step is going to be to go back to the second step, I should say. It's going to be go back to the people manager. And we are going to remove Jacob Erickson from her account. So I'm going to go to the primary member profile again. And I am going to go to her additional members in her account and remove Jacob Erickson. And then save. And then I'm going to just double check Jacob. I'm going to look for both. And I'm going to do check all and search for him again. There he is. He's dropped. So now what I want to do is, let's see. I am going to go in here into his profile. And I am going to go to his basic information. And I'm going to remove his email address. The reason I'm doing this is because when I do these next couple steps, I don't want him to get notified. I don't want him to get emails, so it might confuse him. So now if I do anything with his account, he's not going to get notifications. So I'm going to go back to his account and he's dropped, but I want to make sure that he gets unlinked from the primary's account. So I'm going to promote him to a full member. Then I'm going to click on it again and I'm going to expire him. Or Jamil, do you think that you will ever be contacting Jacob at that email address? No, because he's no longer there, right?
Correct.
So we can go ahead and drop him. And we're just going to say that he's resigned. Oops, sorry. Or I think there's a no longer at same business. We can choose that option. And then if there is a pending membership transaction or anything, we're going to go ahead and delete that and hit save. And now when we go back to the primary, which the primary was Sam Worley, right? And then I renew her. He should not be here, but let's just double check. His last name was Erickson. He's no longer here. Go to the next step. It's now $595. If you remember, her credit was for $630. So now I'm going to go ahead and submit the payment for $595. And then because you're using the Club Express merchant account, we're going to go back to the Money tab, Open Credits. Now she has an open credit of $35. And we are going to refund payment and process refund. Refund amount, $35, process refund. And this is the only way you can get it back to her card. This is the steps you have to take in order so that the credit is on her account to get it back to her credit card, the credit card that she used to pay.
At this point, you do have to go back to the primary member's profile and change the expiration date back to 12/31/2026.
And that's it. You can let her know that a credit should be hitting her credit card within like 5 to 7 business days.
Does that answer that for you, Jamil?
Thank you very much. Fortunately, I was multitasking. One came to my desk, but I have the recording. Thank you for getting it done. And once the recording is there, I'll be able to review it. And yes,
Of
thank you. This was a beast. So I appreciate you guys taking care of it for us.
course.
So we do have a question in chat from David. He asks, we have members that request a quote for their membership dues or conference fees. Is the system capable of performing this task?
The only thing you could do is run the renewal, and then you can cancel that renewal. If you were watching earlier when I canceled the renewal for the transaction, I canceled the transaction because it had been paid. But you can also go into the member's profile, and I'll just which group are you with? I might as well go to your website.
David, are you New Mexico?
Yes, I'm in New Mexico
Yeah.
and MPPA.
Okay. I'm just looking for an open transaction. So this green check mark right here tells you that somebody has an open transaction that they haven't paid. This is probably membership dues, and they're expired. But let's look at it. We'd go to the profile, and then we would go to payment or transaction history, and it's not paid. And so what I would do is, if somebody wanted a quote, I would go through the renewal for a renewal. Let's say a renewal. I would go through the renewal process as an admin, just like I just did. It'll generate an invoice. When you get to the invoice, when you get to the last page, oops, sorry, it'll look like this. And you have the option to print this page or print an invoice. I would print the invoice, PDF it, send it to them, and say, here is what the invoice would be, the quote, so to speak. And then it will have an invoice number. It will have 2924. But so then what I would do is I would go back to the profile after I sent that to them. And you could just delete that invoice 2924 under transaction history. And then when they go through the renewal process, they're going to get a new invoice number. But then they would go through the process and it would be the total. Or you can just leave the invoice in there if they don't care if there's an open invoice in there. But that's really the only thing you can do, that you can provide something to them. Obviously, they can go through the same steps and print their own invoice. But if they're asking you to do it, that's a way that you could do it. Same with the event registration. I'm assuming that most of your events are immediate payment required. And if that's the case, they could register technically, print the invoice, or you could register for them, print the invoice. If they don't pay within 30 minutes, that registration is going to cancel, but that invoice can be given to them as a quote, so to speak. But it's technically not a quote. It's an invoice that will end up being deleted.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
The only other thing you can do, especially if it's for renewals, is create a Word document for them and just say for, member ABC organization, primary member Alan Smith, and all of the secondary members, the total is going to be, or, create a Word quote. That's the only thing you can do, but it's nothing built into Club Express.
Okay, not a problem. I just thought I'd ask.
Mm-hmm.
Yvonne, can you show where a chapter would be able to find whether they are using the Club Express merchant account?
Yes. So if you go to the Money tab, and not all of you are going to have access to all of these options in the back end, but a full admin would have access to everything here. A full admin will have access to the money options. And if you scroll down, it'll tell you what your account is. This one here is a Stripe merchant account. Let's see, Tampa was using, I'll show you the difference. Here is the Stripe merchant account, Tampa. Yeah, I'm sorry. So Tampa's using their own external Stripe. So they're using their own external Stripe. So is the one that I was just in, New Mexico. I have a list. Let me open up this list so I can show you one that's using.
Kansas,
Kansas is using Club Express.
yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a list of them, but my link is broken. So thank you, Kansas. So if you're not using your own, you're going to have something that looks like this. Most of you, I believe, are on just the regular Club Express. If you're on the premium Club Express, it'll say premium. And then if you're on your own, let's see here. If you're on your own, you don't have the option to turn on the Apple Pay and Google Pay. If you're on Club Expresses, you have the option to allow your members and allow people to use Apple Pay and Google Pay. And of course, ACH as well.
And Melissa, if I could ask, you say we don't currently use the money tab. So all chapter websites have the money tab on their sites. I wonder if what perhaps you're referring to is that perhaps you don't have access to it because of being a coordinator, and I don't know. But as Yvonne mentioned, all those tabs can be broken down. The only person that can see everything on the site is a full admin versus coordinators only have limited access to the site, so it could be that. So because the money tab does exist on all sites. So I don't know if you want to clarify or anything.
Which group is that, Melissa?
It's Kentucky,
Yeah,
and I just may not have access because I'm not
be.
the admin.
Yeah, so that could be the issue. Yeah.
Oh, it is there. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And Kentucky is using their own Stripe.
Okay. So we're not using this, so people wouldn't be able to do like what you've been showing with the invoices and everything. We don't have access to that ability.
No, you can still do that because the invoice is generated within here, within Club
Oh, okay.
Express.
Okay. All right. And then my other question was scholarship funds. Do other chapters use scholarship funds? And if so, do they have access through this system to see what's available, what's been paid out?
That's an interesting question. I don't know if we've ever had anyone ask about that in terms of, can you go a little deeper into the explanation of, so you're distributing
Mhm.
money through the system? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, no, I was curious if we could. So we provide members with scholarships based on their interaction with our organization. So, like, let's say if they earned $100 in a given year, our finance guy for the team, he'll manage that in a spreadsheet. And so when they reach out and say, you know, I'd like to use my funds to buy this book or to attend this class, he'll, manage the dollars on a spreadsheet, but that individual never really has access to see, okay, do I have any money left? Unless they're kind of keeping track on their own. So this would be a great way for them to see how much was I given this year? How much have I used already? What do I have available? I don't know
Are
if
they,
other chapters do that.
I haven't had a question like that. I
Oh,
don't know whether other chapters are doing, I don't know, Yvonne, do you know of something in the system that would be able to accomplish that?
well, the only thing I was going to say is you said that to purchase books. Um,
mhm.
you could give somebody a credit, but only to be used to purchase things through the website, to purchase membership dues, event registration. If you have a storefront that you have the books, then you could give them a credit to purchase the books through the storefront on the website, but not externally. So in other words, let's say you have a member that you've given $100 scholarship for, and that can be used however they want to use it. You could add a credit to their account within Club Express, and they could use it for anything on Club Express, anything on your website.
Okay. Is there another option where you could, maybe not in this section, but somewhere where we could put um, funds, just, virtual funds that they could visually see that they were given and that are being used as they request them to be used?
Um, the only thing I could think of is for admin could see it two different ways. You could put a note within a person's profile. Like if, for instance, let's say Anna had some money, you could go into notes and you can create a note here that says, as of February 24th, Anna has $100 in scholarship funds. And then you'd have to go in here and edit that anytime she used any of those scholarship funds. But it's a way that you could kind of keep track. Everybody could see it in one place. Of course, a Google Doc could do that as well that you share. The other thing I could, think of is perhaps maybe something like an additional member data question, that if you did something like that, go back here. Additional member data questions could be added that would, let's see, add a question. Something like this, it would be a short text, and you could have it not be editable by the member, but admin only, and it's visible to the member only. Admin obviously would see it, but the member.
Mhm.
And then it could be something within their profile, and I'll show you what, I'm not going to save this. I'll show you, oops, oh, leave. If I were to go into a member's profile here, as if I were, if I were the member and I went into this profile and I'm looking at my own profile and I look at my additional member data, it could be this question right here: how much funds do I have in my scholarship fund? This person would be able to see that answer, and admin would be able to edit it, but not the member, but they would be able to see the answer.
Okay, interesting. Okay. And the other option you said was a Google Doc. Is that just like a spreadsheet that you add that everyone has visibility to?
Yeah, that you can share the visibility. You can make it editable by only the person who owns it, or a couple people can make edits to it, but other people can just they can only see it. They can only, review the doc.
And where would it be shown? Like under one of the tabs on the top or something?
Yeah, you could actually do an external link, excuse me, under the control panel, website, menus. You could create an external link, like these are external links. Then
Okay.
you could then add, chapter ambassadors. I don't know where this is, or KPP newsletter. You would add it to one of the member submenus down here, probably, instead of just a standalone, like job boards is a standalone link, but it could be added to under member resources. You could add another external link here to that Google Doc.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's a lot of options. Thank you.
Sure.
Yvonne, do you know if there's an add-on module in Club Express that could accomplish this?
Not that I know of, no.
Not that you know of.
Those are my only three workarounds. I could certainly ask if they have another workaround, but those are the only three workarounds I can think of.
Because we also had someone else in chat say that that's of something of interest to them, so that may be something to understand what the capabilities are. It could be that we explore an add-on module if it would accomplish it.
Sure. And this is Kentucky Public, right?
Correct.
And Melissa Hubbard?
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer, this is something that a lot of our chapters do is have this scholarship or involvement tracking, if you will, that they give dollars back for engagement. It is I know that a lot of chapters are doing it. It's the first time somebody's asked about it, but I certainly think that it's something to look into because everybody is tracking it somewhere else. So it's not within their database, which would really nice if it could tie all together. But I do know that certainly Kentucky is not the only one tracking and using this type of external source to keep track and distribute money to their members.
So I wonder if the distribution of funds is probably not an option unless it is, and Yvonne, you can answer as well, and unless it is, as Yvonne says, a credit to use on the site, right?
Okay.
But I think the tracking aspect of it could be something that might be a workaround. What do you think, Yvonne? Is that correct? Because distribution of funds is not.
Yeah, just the tracking.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to. Yeah, I think just the tracking.
Yeah, just the tracking. Okay.
Thank you.
Carolyn, sorry, somebody was speaking, sorry. No? All right, Carolyn, you have your hand up.
Hi. So, question. How do we set up group discounts for events? So, like Paul Brennan does a whole lot of courses for us, and we'd like to be able to have agencies register if they have, say 3 or more people participating. How would we set something like that up to offer group discounts to save our agencies some money?
Which group are you with?
Sampo, New York Sampo.
But they had a New Jersey version.
New York.
Right there. Yep, that's us.
Yeah. Okay, so let me think about this. Let me make sure I understand. So it's an event, and you want to have different pricing for one person as opposed to 2 to 3 people from an agency, 4 to 5 people, etc.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple different ways to do that. The first way would be to set up the hold on one second, I'm getting sound. I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, yep, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. You can set up an event and have different registrant options. For instance, let's say it's $100 for one person to attend, 180 for 2 people to attend from the same agency. You would just have multiple activities, so to speak, in the event. Do you have a specific event that we could look at?
I'm trying to think what's coming up. We have a class coming up. My calendar.
There's one for Paul on there, right there, negotiating and
Yeah.
public procurement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, so it's 249 is for the member price, and you're trying to say that if an agency brings 3 people, they could get a bulk rate of $600 for 3 people,
Right.
something similar.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have let's see. Under the who can register, you would do something like this. You would do something, let's see, members, active members, and you would do 2 to 3 members, or well, let's say 3 members, and I'm just kind of giving you an idea from same agency. And you would say $600, okay? And then you would add that. And then and you would include in your landing page for the event and also any communication you send out, you'd explain to them the difference. And then what
Okay.
you'd want to do is you would want to add a question. So I'm not going to save this, but you would want to add a question. So I'm going to cancel. And in your question, you would want to, you have to create the question first. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the calendar and we're going to configure questions. And you would you'd create a question for names of attendees. And then you would have them put in their names. So it would be one person registering, and that could be John Smith. And then when he registers, he would put in John Smith. If he chooses that 3-person choice, that three members from the same agency, he'd put John Smith, Joe Jackson, and Annie Smith. And so that's how you would know who the 3 people are who are attending. And then you'd save this question. I'm not going to save. And then what you would have to do is go back to the event. And this was the 5/20, it was the May one, right?
Yeah.
Negotiating.
Yes.
You'd go back to the event and you would add that question here as a registrant question. And so then every person who registers would have to answer that question. The only other option would be to create discount coupons. So your discount coupons are created under the money tab. And let's see, discount coupon. And we said that was, let's just round up and make it $250 per person. So that's $750. And you want to give it to them for $600. You would create a discount coupon. Let me just make sure you've got categories. You don't have a category. So you'd have to first add a category. And then you'd go back to the discount coupon and you would add a coupon. It automatically is coming here because it's the only category I created. And you would say 3-person registration, something like this. Activation date is today. You might want to set an expiration for, if it's going to be for a particular event. You make it from pending to published. Financial account would be master event registration. And you can either do a percentage amount or a dollar amount. Maybe your discount is just going to be percentage amount. For multiple people, they get a discount of 20%. But let's say it's a dollar amount. The dollar amount would be, if I said from $750 to $600, that would be $150. Is it going to be for members only? Of course, because it's for agency members. It's going to apply to a event registration, and you can limit it to one event if you wanted to. And you would just find that event, which was May 27th, I believe it was. And then you can either create the code yourself or allow Club Express to create the code. But I would create the code, maybe it's May 27, 2026, 3 people or something. And you provide that code to the people who are registering. And then when they go to register, their total is going to be $750 because they're registering 3 people. But when they go to check out, they will have this code to enter into the box and it'll drop the price down to $600. So those are the 2 options that I can think of that you can do for what you're trying to do.
Thank you.
So the system automatically recognizes if they pick 3 members and it provides the coupon code?
No, you have to provide the code to the person. So that's where it's going to get a little trickier. You'd have to say to people, if if you're registering for 3 people, use this code. If you're registering for 2 people, use this code. If you're registering for 5 people, use this code. And then you'd have to, of course, police it. So you would have to see when you run your registration report in the event, you will be able to see if how people paid and whether they used a discount coupon, and then you'd have to make sure that they paid the correct amount
So
and use the correct.
in the event registration, when somebody selects 3 members, there's no way within the system that it would automatically notice that and provide a discount, basically.
Correct. Correct. The other option is if you know that somebody is going to be registering, there is one more option. If you know that somebody is going to be registering for an event and they're going to be using or registering 3 people, you're going back to the open credit, you could create an open credit for that person of $150. I'm just gonna pull up anybody, but I won't say, but I promise. And then you would say $150. And now when Sue goes in to register herself or anyone from her, she's the primary, it has to be, you want to do this with the primary. You would, it would of course go to an event registration discount, the description, etc. When she logs in and she registers the people and she goes to check out, it's automatically going to be sitting there in the cart, $150 off. And that is if you choose it for a master, for an event registration. If you do it for anything, there is a way, let's see, you can limit it to events. You can limit discounts to events up there. In
Yvonne,
other words, they can't use that for their dues.
Right.
Yvonne, can you go
Mhm.
back to how you added that question?
Yes, that's control panel, website, events, and then under configure are your event questions. So you first have to create the event question, and then in the event, you have to make sure that questions is turned on. You'd make sure that's turned on by under the basic info. You have to make sure that questions is checked. And then when you go to questions, edit, this would be a question that is for the registrant. Registration questions and registrant questions. You can see the difference between, so this one's only answered once, no matter how many registrants and activities are included. This one would be attached to each individual activity if you had multiple activities. And you would just add the question and select it, whichever one you chose. And then the visibility is all registrants, and you can either make it required or not required.
Okay. I think I've got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Melissa's asking, can that discount coupon option be used to offer a discount to anyone that pays with ACH versus a credit card, or that ACH payers get the discount?
The discount coupon should attach to or should be available as an ACH as well. Do you have ACH turned on for your website?
I'm actually not sure. I do know that we pay extra every time someone uses a credit card, though. So in order to save on that fee, I'd rather, instead of paying 3% on a credit card, I'd rather offer them like a 1 or 2% discount if they were to do ACH.
There is a fee if you're using there is a fee in Club Express if you're using ACH as well.
Okay, what is that fee?
I believe we said Kansas definitely. Well, I can look to see if you have Club Expresses or not, but I know Kansas does. And because Kansas does, I can look at the fees. If you're not using Club Express's merchant account, you're not going to see the fees. So if you go to your website and look under Money tab, if you see Club Express rates, that's where it's going to be. ACH direct debit is a 1.5 fee.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Stasia asks, are there any character restrictions for the code that you use in a discount coupon? Can you use anything?
I'm sure there's probably a character length. but I've used asterisks, dollar signs, things like that. I've used special characters and not had any problem. So no, nothing with special characters.
Thank you.
So we did say that we would talk about the points tracker. We only have 5 minutes left, however. It was based completely on time. I don't know, Kaylee, you tell me. It's probably not enough. I don't know.
No, I think 5 minutes is plenty.
Okay, all right.
And before Kaylee goes into that,
Yeah.
I know that we have I think it was Nicole that was asking last week about questions about add to calendar. And if anybody wants to stay on a couple extra minutes, I do have a workaround for add to calendar to go into your emails that I'd be happy to stay on a little bit longer if anybody wanted to see that.
Great, thank you. Okay, take it away, Kaylee.
Okay,
I'm going to stop share. Let me
yeah,
stop.
I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So if you are a chapter that's using the points tracking module, or if you would like to use the points tracking module, I'm just going to show you a little bit about how that can be done and some important things to remember. So say, for instance, you have an event and you would like to either track points or hours in the most efficient way possible. I'm going to show you how to get to your points tracking module. If you are logged in as an admin, you'll go to Control Panel and you'll find points tracking under the website tab. And within the points manager, you have options. And within options, you can decide whether or not you're going to track points, hours, or both. Or you can, if you don't use this module, just ignore it altogether. We're going to say that we're tracking points for this example. We decided not to expire points or require documentation. I have a administrator listed to be the contact person for this module, and I'm just going to save. Now there's a feature that is best for importing points so that it can all be done automatically and quickly for everyone who attended an event, and that is import from event. The way that you set this up within an event so that you will find that event that has passed is that you have to track attendance within the event. So this is the event in question. For example, I'm going to show you how to track attendance under your admin options. This is going to be under registrations and fees. If this is a multi-activity event, registrations and fees fall under each individual activity. This is a single activity event, so it's right here. Tracking attendance. So we are tracking attendance for this event. Good. This event has passed. It was January 1st. Say you have somebody in the Zoom meeting or in person at the conference maintaining a attendance sheet. After the fact, after the event, you will go to the attendance in the back end of the event, and you're going to mark attendance for who attended. Easiest way to do that is to check all first, and then perhaps Jeremy was not in attendance, and you can just uncheck him. And we're going to save. So now what that has done has all of these were marked as registrants, but they were not marked as attended yet. So now that the event is over and I've marked them, we can go ahead and import their hours. Before I do that, I want to show you an option on the member side of things. So this is if a member were to log in their own attendance. So I am in a guest profile. I attended that January 1st event and I'm going to log it myself. I would go to my profile and go into histories where you'll find transaction, event history, and your points and hours history. When you click on it, within the last 12 months, I want to add a point. There's a couple different ways that you can do this. You can copy and paste the event name into this field, or it may be logged in a certain category. So this is a social event, and I want to choose from website events that I've attended, and there it is. And then the member, I am the member, remember, I'm logging in 1 hour and hitting submit. Now, this status is submitted. It's still an admin's responsibility to approve those hours. So I just wanted to show you that as an option for members to do this themselves. But I'm also going to show you, one, how to approve this, and two, how to bulk import hours for your members. Going to the control panel and back to the website tab to find the points tracking module, you'll see that that member example that I just gave you is here, and they submitted their single point for that event. I'm going to go in and review it. And I'm going to change the status to approved, but you have other options in there as well, and save it. Now, for all those other members that I marked as attended on the admin side, the easiest way to import points or hours from an event is here. The most important thing about this module is that this expires 90 days after the event. So you must do this. Say you have 100 members that attend your events. You have to bulk import points or hours from an event within 90 days, or this event will no longer appear in this dropdown. So it's very important to do that quickly after an event has taken place. So I've got the event. It's a single activity event. This is it. And I'm going to log 1 hour. Once I hit import, every single member that I marked as attended will now have that point in their profile. And I'll just show you that by going to one of their profiles in the People Manager. I'll use Emma as an example. If I go into her points and hours history, she has an approved single point. And that's the gist of the points module. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to help with that.
Cindy, is your question about the points tracker?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
On the points tracker, we've been using it for the points when we've been tracking, and we use that for our scholarship program when they earn points. Is there a way you can deduct points when they use their points, or is this just set up for addition only?
For this purpose of this demonstration, just setup, let me see if you can remove points. This is the first that I've heard of use of members spending points.
This was created more to log points on a transcript, right, that people could submit for certification purposes. So yeah, I don't think we've had in terms of extracting points, but using points.
Okay. So we were using it for transcript, and then we were also using it for scholarship points. So that's probably not a good idea.
Well, if you want the scholarship points to show up on the transcript, right?
Right. We were trying to use the points tracking system so that we would not have to keep up with an external spreadsheet. So when they go into their profile, you can see how many points they have.
It sounds like a need for some kind of tracking of scholarship and information and stuff like that. But I don't know, Kaylee, I jumped in. Maybe there's a way in which to do this. I don't know.
I'm not sure. It sounds like a little bit of a workaround using the points manager, not for its intended purpose, but we
or
can
the volunteer module, and I don't know. So that's another thing to put out there, right? Because you can track
Yeah.
volunteer, right, Kaylee?
The only thing that I'm a little bit lost on is the spending of those points.
Okay, yeah.
That would be a whole nother topic to explore.
We need to do a little more research on this, I think, in terms of the options for scholarships, Cindy. So
Okay.
we certainly will do that. And it sounds like it's
Okay.
a need for lots of people. So
Yeah. Thank you. This points tracking system works great, especially pulling in the events and marking the attendance and then pulling it over. It saves a lot of time. So if there was just a module to mock that with a subtraction computation in there, that would be solve the problem for me. Thank you for researching that.
Sure.
Yvonne, did you want to go quickly over the event?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me share, Kaylee. Go ahead and stop. See. I want to make sure I got the right screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
The other day, last week in your meeting, we had a question about trying to add to calendar. If you've noticed on your events, which I'm sure you all have, that there is the add to calendar option on the actual event landing page. Let me log in and get to it quicker. So there is this add to calendar event. When you click on this, it downloads an ICS file that you can upload into Google or Outlook Calendar to add it to your calendar. But we were talking about how could we do some kind of an add to calendar link in an email with that, especially if it's just something you want them to put on their calendar, but it's not an event that they're registering for. So what I did here was I just quickly created an event, and it's when you create an event, you can make the event viewable or hidden or whatever. And so this event right now is actually on the calendar. It could be a save the date. You don't have to have registration for the event. And when I created the event, I quickly registered for it. So you could open it up and register as yourself, and then you can close it and not have any more registration because you don't really need registration. And when I registered for the event, I received this email here that says that I registered for the event. And in that event confirmation, registration confirmation, there is a link that is a ICS file. So what I did was I figured out a way to be able to add this link into an email that you could send out to your members. And so what I did here was I have a very generic email that I created real quickly under the communications module. And I created the link 2 different ways, and I tested it and it does work. Here I created it and I copied it right from that Gmail, right from the email I received. I went ahead right there and copied that link, and I threw it into the email here. But then I also created it a different way. I created it as I downloaded the file. It's in my downloads. And I took that link and I uploaded it into the document library. And then when I uploaded it into the document library, I drew this over, I pulled this over as a file link, and I linked to that document. Sorry. That is calendar links. There's the calendar link that I uploaded. And so that's that link. And then I sent myself a test email. And both of those links worked. If I click on that, it downloads the ICS. And if I click on that, it downloads the ICS. And then so that's a workaround that if you wanted to send to your members just something to add to calendar that isn't an actual event, you could well, I'm sure it is it is an event, but what you can do is you can just create an event on your calendar, register yourself for it, get the link. Um, Actually, you might not even need to register. You might just, if you want to use this here, you're going to need to probably register. But if you want to use this option, you can just click on the download calendar, and then that'll download that ICS file, and then you can upload it into your documents library and link to that ICS file and send it out to the members. So I hope that works. Play around with it, test it before you use it if you're going to use it, and just make sure it works before you do it. And I hope that,
Thank you.
I hope that's usable. I hope people can, that'll help you in the future.
So we have covered a lot of, I think, really important stuff today. So understand there is going to be a recording because I have a feeling for many it will be about going back and reviewing it. So there will be a recording that I will upload to our YouTube channel. If you want, I don't have the link accessible right now, but I'm happy to send it out to anybody who would like that link to our YouTube playlist that lists all of these. Also, just to reminder that I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we did have a training last week for those that are attending Academy, and we have a recording of that as well, which I will distribute out, but we'll also add to our YouTube channel. So just to let everyone know, and thank you so much, Yvonne, for going over. Thank you, people, for staying and for joining us today. And we will do this again on the second Tuesday of March. Thank you, everyone.
See you then. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.